Hola and welcome everybody to the Ballad of the Menagerie. We've been away for a while. Things have been crazy and weird, but we're back. And we're uh, we're gonna bring this back into focus here. Last we left off, um, our heroes, such as they are, were infected and they were fighting a couple of Kasaric and they weren't doing so well. They nearly drowned in a river trying to cross it, and the whole thing's kind of gone. The whole mission's kind of gone sideways on them. And I think we come back in with we come back in with the sort of like the camera from like maybe sort of on the ground in the middle of things, and we see like the Kasarek moving in, or still at a bit of a distance, but clearly trying to move in on the crew. Oliver just barely managed to get find the rest of the crew. Oh my god. And wow, come on. Sorry, distracted for a second. We get and the crew is kind of like, look, Oliver looks a little like a little weakened. He's still wet from dragging himself from washing up on the shore of the river. In fact, those of you who fell in the river are probably still a little wet. Um, and kind of as they're closing in, like we hear a the high-pitched whine of engines coming, and like the wind starts blowing about a little bit, um, almost, and we kind of like see, and of course everybody kind of looks up because you're gonna obviously look towards the sound, and there is a small Atmo craft, and there is a small Atmo craft that is sort of like descending down, and the Kasaric, reacting to the noise and the sudden, you know, like the noise and the sudden change of the wind and whatnot, appear to look up, and seeing that the situation has changed, both start kind of heading back start like making a dash back for the forest. And those of you looking up see that in this Atmo craft there is one Waklohar, who you met before you set out on this expedition, because he was the last stop where you bought all of your supplies and what have you. Um, you also see, and Waklohar appears to be piloting this thing, but you also see a couple of other people in the Atmo craft, sort of like the bay doors or whatever, if you will. There is what appears to be a tiefling with with long black hair and a styled goatee and mustache that are and there is somebody else that is familiar that you kind of have left behind for a while. Um, you see AL also in the Atmo craft, and as it kind of like comes to a land, they don't shut the engines off, but they kind of land. Waklohar like yells at you, Al, and your compatriot here, the Tiefling, like like we gotta get him and we gotta get out of here fast. Um, before the we don't want to get any, we don't want to disturb things any more than we are. A lot of paperwork, a lot of bureaucracy. I don't want to lose my license to run my business here. And the and the Tiefling looks at you, Alan, goes. He says, uh, "Shall we get your friends? After all, this doesn't seem to be going particularly well here."
What exactly do I see?
You you see that about half of the crew that is left is soggy. Uh, you don't think you've seen Oliver more unsteady on his feet ever. Uh, and they kind of look like they kind of look like they've seen a little too much of the wilds and the wilderness. And the professor that they came out here with on this expedition looks absolutely fucking terrified. He is also soaking wet. Um, and the Tiefling gets off of the Atmo craft, jumps off, and comes walking down towards you, looking around. He's got a data pad in hand, and he's like, which one of you is Shadow?
That would be me. Please take us all.
He's like, ah, um, yeah, well, a mutual friend of ours sent me to find you guys. Apparently, they've got important uh, one. God damn it! Now I'm mind blanking here. One green fellow. Yeah, he's a lawyer, halfling. He says he's got some work for you guys. There's a mission needs there's some work that needs doing. And he
All
kind of
right.
look.
Can we continue this conversation inside of the craft?
He's like, get in.
Shadow goes and helps Oliver
Yeah,
out.
it's like Oliver looks like when a cat is rescued from a river and he just runs towards the
So,
water.
as you guys enter, you'll see AL's eyes are red, and AL's face is less animated. You guys have met Alistair before, but I mean, like, it's basically like it's still unusual because the other two personalities are pretty different from Alistair.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, once you're all aboard, he kind of looks around. He's like, he's like, that everybody? As he's helping the professor back in. And he's like, I don't think this expedition you were is gonna is looks like it's much of a success. And the professor's like, yeah, I don't. Rather say we'll have to try this again some other time. And ran into a great deal of problems. And Waklahar, he shuts the door and Waklahar takes off. And you're kind of in flight. And he's like, and he goes, my name is Crenville. He goes, I work for Thobus Greenfellow. Uh, well, he says, it appears that you guys are gonna, he says, it appears that he's got some work for you that is a little outside of the territory, so to speak.
Oliver's
Uh,
just
all
resting on
right.
the floor.
Just give us a little time to heal up and take care of our wounded, and maybe dry off a bit.
I am the wounded.
Also, it would help if we had more intel on our new job. I feel like we need to know more about the flora and maybe more equipment to navigate better. I would say.
He was, he's like, I think the professor is like, we're gonna need a lot more than that to brave the jungles here. Says, I'm gonna have to rethink this entire expedition. And the Crinville says, no offense, but I think your contract with these gentlemen is gonna have to wait. Do you have any idea who Thobus Greenfellow works for? And he's like, the professor just sort of looks at him blankly, and he's like, well, uh, he works for a lot of important players in the Pact Worlds, but right now, he's doing a bit of work for the infamous Captain Volvetto.
Whoa.
Oh, it's that guy again. God damn, he's so famous. It makes me so jealous.
And he's like, he's like, yeah, well, shooting up the Hollow Vid Awards, firing at police officers on Versace, and all the other crimes that he's committed will kind of do that. Like, he says, apparently they need some problem solvers, and they're working on getting the. He says, Phobos is working on getting the Zei's planet recognized as a sovereign state in its own right.
Wait, what? He has a planet?
Apparently so. I'm as amazed as you guys, but apparently they need some problem solvers out in that area, out there. Phobos uh, wanted a team that was outside of the internal politics.
Well, that would be us. We're outside of everybody's politics.
Agreed.
I don't know what anyone's I don't know what anyone's politics is, to be honest.
He kind of Crenville kind of looks at you. He's like, I'll. He says once we get back to Kabarat, we'll have more details. He says but for the time being, I suggest you all make use of. And he kind of looks around. He goes, I think there's some blankets over there. And points over to a hatch. And he looks at you, Oliver, and goes, although I'm not sure there's one big enough for you, you might need two.
That is okay. I'll take
Uh,
4.
but yeah, um,
So, what I miss, guys?
Closes
The,
his
wor-
eyes
the
and looks
worst
away.
boat trip I have ever taken. Losing Oliver, finding Oliver, and horrendous pain. Yes, that thing shot me. I don't like it. Stupid plant thing.
I don't want to mention that I'm constructed because I don't think that's constructive. But
oh,
Wow.
uh, that being said, I'm glad that you guys are all right. Um, do I see Buzz as Ali would say, or is Buzz nowhere
Tiz,
to be found?
Tiz seems to be just kind of keeping to themselves. Uh, we're working on maintaining its their drone. Um, let's see. Do you guys have any further questions for Crinville at the moment? Or not that he really has much to say, or Wacklehar, or anything like that?
Drying off.
Nope.
I don't like sweat.
Do we have any idea who we're gonna piss off next?
Please, nothing
We
lazy.
didn't even get a chance to piss anyone off. Those things just wanted to eat, kill, whatever us.
We forgetting the gang members that Allie had a wonderful time with. I'm just saying, she had a lovely time. Just to be clear, guys, she wasn't in any danger. I just, I,
Oh, I was
I'm
talking
pretty.
about here. I mean, previously, I guess, we pissed some people off, but we're gone from there. It's here that we experience the most problems.
It's fair. It's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, because that all happened on Akaton, and this is you're now on Castrovel. So yeah, so you guys kind of like catch up and talk about what's going on or what's been
Absolutely.
happening.
Yeah.
Well, after I lost you guys, I bumped into this fine fellow, and other than that, I've been doing what I normally do. I've been searching my memory banks to find out a little bit more about myself.
Mm. Yeah, and you would know that the ship has been undergoing upgrades in the at Kabarat. Um, they came over here on like a transport you're to Ukulum because you're on a separate continent right now than where the ship is at. You had to take a transport over here too, because they don't allow commercial flights over Ukulum. It's a protected preserve um, by by agreement of all of the three major governments on this planet. But yeah, it only takes a couple of hours to get back to the Waklahar's, expeditions, and there's a transport ready to and waiting to leave there. Crenville has already booked passage for you guys to get back to Kabarat on.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's and it'll take a few more hours to get back to Kabarat. But when you get back to Kabarat, uh, you're you do manage to your ship has been getting upgraded, and it's kind of like it's at that finishing stages and what have you, um, where like the mechanics that the mechanics that were working on it kind of like hand you the keys, as it were. Um, like they're like, yeah, we're all done here. Then you sure about that VI? I mean, you know, and he kind of stops a minute and he goes, we could have put, he shrugs his shoulders. He goes, not exactly a common feature on a ship like this. Uh, took care of some of the problems. You're still gonna get that shakiness when you hit the drift drive. It's a problem with, the fact that you got parts from 5 different ships on this thing. Um, but otherwise, she should be working just fine. Yusakai, kind of hands you back over. Like, uh, and he kind of, with that, he goes, uh, he's like, now, if you'll excuse me, me and the boys got some more got another assignment we got to get to. You know, getting paid by the flag hour still don't leave you as much time to get these kind of operations up and running as you'd like. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, it's a lot of work.
It was like, and he kind of goes, and he kind of takes off. Crinville, for the most part, is like, says, I'll let you, I will let all of you get situated back in. Um, I'm sure that when it says, once you're situated, give me a call. He hands you a card with his number on it. He goes, and I will come back around and do, we'll talk a bit more.
I
All right,
appreciate
that will be
all the
fine.
work.
Thank you for rescuing us.
I appreciate all the work you put in.
he just, yeah, he kind of nods and he says, and he kind of like he kind of nods and he says, I will see all of you later. And he grabs his comm and he touches a couple of buttons and a car pulls up. A hover car, pretty fancy one at that. And he gets into the hover car and takes back off, presumably to wherever he's staying, hotel or whatever. But you guys now have the ability to run around on your ship again. And the first thing all of you notice is the nice new shiny turret and weapon on the new turret that you've got on there, because you can actually see that from the outside. Um, yeah, so you now have that rail cannon. You can actually see that going on.
I wish we had one of those when we were out there.
Agreed.
What do you want to do? You want to just drive this ship right through the forest?
As tempting as that may be right now, we should get
It
some
would be
rest.
very nice to to deforest an area, uh, especially one full of little uh, plant creatures that want to. Do you
I'm not
think?
sure.
Do
I'm
you
not sure
think
the doctor
they're
would
in
approve.
me?
What?
He's looking at Albert. Do you think they got whatever it is in me? Because
Oh,
I don't feel that great.
most likely.
Should we get to the lab and check you guys out?
He's already started moving forward. Just boom, boom, boom.
All right. So you guys are going to go to uh, your science lab.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a science lab, isn't it? There it is. Make sure I know what you're. So refamiliarize myself. Yeah, 'cause you got a tech lab and a science lab. Yeah, and you don't even, and Oliver, you have your custom micro lab. You
Yeah.
don't even need to go to the science lab. You can just stop right here and do a physical
He likes
if need be.
he likes the comfort of an actual lab.
That's okay. Yeah, you can go there. Yeah, it get you will go back in, and you get to the whatchamacallit, to the lab and what have you. Um, it didn't take much of a medicine check to know what's going on. He's not like he got hit with one of those thorn darts too.
Yeah.
Um, you're fairly certain that he's got the same thing going on that you do. Um, but you're not going to be able to do a whole lot about it until the next day, until tomorrow, which time both of you will need to make saving throws, but you can make your medicine checks to try to give both of you a bonus to your saving throws.
Okay. I can do that now.
Not right now.
Okay.
I mean, you guys, unless you guys are like, we're gonna go fucking to bed.
Glancing at rest of party.
Yeah,
So,
we all
should
take
anyone
a
keep
rest.
watch on you guys to keep watch on your condition? Is that necessary, Dr. Byrne?
I believe we'll be fine for the night. We're Safe in our ship where nothing can bother us.
Or inject something into us.
Or drown us.
Speaking of drowning, he looks at the little bits of notes that the workman left. Naj?
Like he's like the well, I get they didn't name the VI. It's just listed there as VI.
VI.
He says virtual intelligence virtual intelligence uh, initiating. This is VI. How may I assist you today?
Ooh, we
I
got a
want-
nice VI.
Want a glass of warm milk.
Warm milk coming up, and there's like a hologram like flickers to life. It flickers to life and um, comes down and heads off. Actually, there's a moment where it says, "There's like warm milk coming up," and they're like, you wait a couple of minutes, and a person walks in through the door, appears to be a human, um, and hands you a glass of warm milk.
So now Allie, and Allie pokes the person handing what appears to be a person handing it. Pokes the VI.
First of all, give me an engineering check, and the DC is not going to be terribly high.
Oh, look. It's the VI.
Yeah, you know what this is. This is a living hologram. This is they're it's this thing won't be able to go off of the ship, and VIs typically aren't like programmed to do a lot of things. Most ship VIs can do a couple of basic ship functions, but this one apparently is this one apparently has been programmed to function at least to function in a in a servant in sort of
Cafeteria.
yeah, well, has been apparently programmed to be able to make and serve food, and it's also got it's a solid a living hologram essentially. Although it's a VI, it's not a true AI.
Yeah, it don't
Um,
have no thoughts of its own.
So Allie looks at everyone and says, "Ooh, it has that new hologram feel."
Yeah, it hands you the milk, and it's like one glass of warm milk, temperature 80 degrees.
Thank you very much.
Does Shadow drink it like a cat, or does Shadow drink it like a person?
Like a person.
Just
They're not cats; they just
I
look
know.
like.
We are
VI.
Where's the console for the VI? I ask everyone.
I don't.
Where is it?
Let's make our alterations to the VI
Yes.
external from that, please. VI, do you have any other name so far?
This virtual intelligence does not have a personal designation.
So he looks at Oliver. So, he's part of the Menagerie. So, do you like Mena, Naj, or Jerry?
Wait, Jerry's an officer.
Jerry.
It's like, yeah, the VI. Are you looking at the VI when the hologram when you say that?
He's asking Oliver what he
Oh, okay.
thinks.
He just shrugs. He's like, it's no matter to me. Because I would normally pick Jerry, but I know we kind of settled on Naj before.
He looks at Al. What do you like out of those three names?
Well, Allie likes Jerry. This is a very simplistic, like childlike wonder looks at you. I like Jerry.
Okay, let's see. I like Naj. Uh, let's check out someone else. Chess. Chess, you're needed in the engineering lab, science lab.
What? Or what? For what? Seeping.
Oh, hi, David the gnome.
We've got a VI that has no name, and it's part of the Menagerie. So um, I we've come up with Mena, Naj, or Jerry.
Jerry's a dumb name.
It is not.
It is so stupid, though.
Smartest guy ever.
Okay, go with Jerry. I don't care.
How about this? You know what? Hey, I thought about it over. I could just add like an E at the end of it, and it'll be Nazi. It could be fine. That sounds like a really cool name, Naz.
Naj, Naj it is. VI, your new name is Naj.
Understood. Do you require anything else at this time?
No, Nazi, it's okay.
Yeah, then so Naj shuts itself. Says, well, just kind of stands there waiting because it doesn't have the self-determination to turn itself off necessarily. Right. Well, I guess maybe there is a protocol that when not needed, the hologram shuts off. Although it's, the VI is always there and always aware. It doesn't need to sleep, so but yeah, you are all now on the ship. Are you and you're in the science lab. Are you guys going to, what do you guys next move here?
Probably gonna look for the VI console, and I want to make modifications to it.
Oh no.
Well, it's not necessarily a console. It's programmed into the computer systems.
So you're saying I have to go to the computer systems? I'm just kidding.
You have to go into the computer's programming.
Next time we'll talk about, well, making it not a human. This seems to be a pretty non-human chip, huh?
Agreed.
Well, like I say, it's a stock model. Well, it's one with the one upgrade. Yeah, it's basically like it was. Actually, you know what? Considering this has been installed in Castroville, it's actually probably a Lashunta. Now that I think about it.
Ew, Lashuntas are gross. Nothing? Chess? Alright.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Well, I'm subscribing Shadow and I to some bed rest.
So do we have just out of game, do we have to pay for upgrades to the VI, or can I make like functional not like functional upgrades, but like, just like the way it interacts with us?
Well,
how that works.
I mean, it depends on what you're kind of looking for to do with it. Because, I mean, for it to do anything like mechanically speaking, like for it to learn new skills and things like that, it would have to be part of a ship upgrade. Trying to make it into an actual AI, you would need you'll need an actual mechanic for that, because they're the
Not
ones that
necessarily an AI. It's kind of like like if there's program responses, just like maybe rewriting how those responses come out.
Oh lord.
It still functions exactly the same. The responses
Naj,
are different.
what up, bitches?
Like, what did you have in mind for how its responses come out?
Oh, I guess I'll have a conversation with a character and we'll decide on something like that. That's what I'm gonna think is gonna happen. I just see it as a fun idea. I mean, Ali definitely does. So
I mean, you could probably choose between a number of like voice settings, and what have you. Um,
I mean, either that, or I was just hoping maybe like right in like instead of like okay, sir, or something like that, right away, sir, and then give it maybe some sass. You know, it's still gonna do it.
gonna make
It's just a
fucking
program to give sass.
you're gonna make Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Ugh.
Don't make sure to pour coffee on the computer, please.
uh, right on. Well, Oliver and Shadow, you're going to go to bed.
Yep.
You're going to bed. Shez, Al, you're playing around with the interface for the VI. Shez, what are you doing with your time?
I'm going to take a shower and get cleaned up because I was splashed with water and I need to be cleaned.
Okay. So you're gonna go get cleaned up. All right. Sounds good. Um. So.
I'm washed enough.
So can I like just tinker with the voices and just like basically it'll just be a different one every time I tinker with it until you guys are like stop.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard to tinker with the voices and whatnot to change the different voice settings.
Changing pitch up to really high.
Now serving warm milk, temperature 80 degrees.
You're gonna kill Jesta. He's gonna have to be
Uh.
changing the voice.
No, the
Now Nazi has a cutesy voice.
Oh, God.
oh my god. No, it couldn't actually be something like that because that would require for it to actually have a real personality. It would probably be more like,
When I say cutesy voice, I just mean the higher pitch is fine. Like a chipmunk kind of sound to it almost.
now serving water, 45 degrees. Now serving water, 45 degrees.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
That kind of goes with me picturing it's the hologram to be a Bernary.
but
Little person with a squeaky voice.
you know, I have not actually considered Bernari. When I look at the Bernari, I don't actually think squeaky voice. I think of their voice as being a little bit more standard. I don't always picture every short creature as having that kind of a voice. Just halflings and gnomes. uh, it,
So, do I need to roll anything for these tweaks?
no. This is probably just settings. This is probably just like going into your settings and changing them. The All right, so the rest of the night passes relatively uneventfully. The next day, you guys wake up, or for those of you who went to sleep, those of you who stayed up all night realize it's morning. And Oliver and Shadow, I'm going to need some saving throws. However, Oliver, if you're going to do some medicine checks to help with those, I'm actually going to need your medicine checks first.
Yes.
Which one are you going to do first?
We'll do myself, because top priority is always the doctor. Oh, God.
Okay, that's good enough to give yourself a +4 bonus to your fortitude save.
Jeez. The doctor's just not feeling that great.
And that's enough to give you a +4 bonus to Shadow's fortitude save too. So now I need both of your fortitude saves, and you both get the +4 because bam.
Hey,
Well,
we tied.
Shadow, that's your that's your so that's one successful saving throw for each of you. I need to write that down. So one successful save each. Because we keep track of this. Because you got to make 2 saves for it to go away. And it's. Yeah. All right. And there you go. So you both made. You are. You don't exactly get any better necessarily. You still take all the penalties, Oliver, that you're taking. Shadow, you're still in latent stage, so you don't take any penalties yet.
I forgot what those
Oh,
were.
you are
I know
at
it's
the. You're at
fatigue.
the weakened. Yeah, you're at the weakened state here. Let's see. So you're. Let me get to that real quick here, because so fortitude track. Disease.
Oh, it's -2 penalty to strength-based ability checks, attack rolls, damage rolls, and skill checks.
Yeah, you are fatigued, so whatever your fatigued stuff. But remember to keep track of the fact that you are fatigued.
Oh wait, there's multiple. Which stat block is this? I mean, is it like a strength poison, dex poison,
It's a
I just realized there's different poisons for every stat. It looks like.
it's not a poison, it's a disease,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's a physical disease track.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, that's right.
yeah, it's considered a disease.
Okay,
Um,
that way I could have it pulled up. So that way, sickened and
because
fatigued. All right, that's the two I need to look up, so I can keep them. I also just
yeah,
looked up the Menagerie, and I'm really upset I did not play one. As much as playing an uplifted bear has been great, I could have played a literal otter.
Oh,
Like literally looks like it's an otter.
now I'm picturing PB and J.
all right. But yeah, you're back up and at him. Uh,
That
you have Crenville's number.
that medicine roll is like this nasty, nasty concoction. By the way, Shadow, just so you know.
Gotcha.
But it
Yuck.
helped.
They get up. I'm already in the cafeteria, just kind of eating and snacking around.
Okay, so -2 to attack rolls.
So
Oh.
I'm snacking around, and you see Allie's feet just kind of kicking, like happily, completely happy with herself.
well,
Yep.
you guys. So what is the order of the day here?
Not much on my end.
Apologize to the professor.
Yeah, he took his leave. He had taken his leave well yesterday. But you send him like an apology over message or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like his reply is courteous. Um it's friendly, but it's also kind of courteous. It's you get the impression that um he's probably sleeping off the adventure himself a little bit. So yeah, but yeah, he does respond.
Good.
Okay. So in the morning, I got to figure out where we're going next.
So are you guys gonna get a hold of Crenville?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, you get you who's actually calling him.
I'll let Jess call him since Jess needs the coordinates most.
Yeah. Crenville is basically like he answers the phone. He's like, ah, he was is this is Crenville?
This is Pilot Chef of Menagerie, and we need the coordinates of the thingy that you want us to go do, so I know where to fly to.
Ah, yes. Well, I will be there shortly. Straight away, I've got to stop and pick up a cappuccino on the way. Perhaps this is but I'll be there within the hour. And yeah, he kind of does that. He's um, and he kind of like hangs up. But it'll you know he shows it takes him a good 53 minutes, and he before he shows up, and he pulls up, and the car lets him. The hover car, a fancy hover car, lets him out. He kind of and he's dressed fairly sharp, but he's also got like a you know whereas yesterday you saw him dressed a little bit more down, a little bit more ruggedly. He's wearing a fairly sharp suit today, shades and all. He kind of and he kind of walks he kind of boards the ship, what have you. He's like ah he or I'm get he's like can I see the entire crew? Perhaps on the bridge or the cargo bay or somewhere where there's a terminal.
Crew to bridge. Calling all crew to bridge.
It's a long wait.
A long way. Maybe there's that awkward look. Like while you wait on Oliver, there's that awkward attempt at small talk. You're just kind of like, yeah, nice. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. There was a pretty good game on last night. I didn't watch it, but did
I,
you?
I didn't either. No, I was busy sleeping off being bitten and possibly impregnated by a plant beast.
He's like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. He's-
It really did
Boy,
get awkward.
you hear the pitter patter of Allie, and like Allie just like kind of runs by, and then like you hear the distance get away, and then you hear her come around again, and just like just running in a circle like she's like really busy, but looks like she's having too much fun right now.
God.
I think he kind of looks at Shadow. He's like, is this normal? And he kind of looks at his at his comm unit and checks the time.
It's normal for Ellie. She is a bit exuberant.
Just like the doors slide open and Oliver tries to slip through, but he's so slow and tired, he just kind of like gets stuck halfway.
Like,
Waits a couple of seconds as he pulls, and then just plops through and just keeps walking towards the captain.
Allie makes another round and bumps right into Oliver.
yeah,
Ow!
No, ow,
Oh,
you
I
got a
didn't see you
fluff
there, Allie.
ball?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Chess, are you still on the bridge or are you somewhere else right now? Or like, are you already on the bridge or are you on your way?
Yeah, I was already on the bridge in my piloting seat, waiting to
No
input
one
coordinates.
saw
I
Chess.
want to
Chess
go.
was just sitting like in a way that like the chair was obscuring him or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, I'm getting the impression that Shess is not a patient girl.
Like no one's paying attention to me.
Yeah. Uh,
I'm surprised
Quinn,
Chess didn't mention anything about the awkward conversation. Actually,
She was just waiting on Oliver, like, get the fuck up here, you stupid bear. Gosh.
and
You
Crinville,
never know the mental conversations she has with herself. So, just so you know.
Well, I do have telepathy, so I can know if you hit me.
oh no.
I
yeah,
can't read your mind, though, sadly.
I think Crinville does it. Kind of looks around. And once everybody is there, and he goes, "Well then, since we're here now," he goes, he goes, "Since we're all here," he goes, he pulls out like a data chip, and he says, looks over at like uh, like a port for it, and says, "If you says, do you mind?"
Please go ahead.
And he plugs it in, and there's like a holographic projection that comes up of Thobus Greenfellow, and he's like, "All right, Menagerie, problem solvers. I need some solving of problems. As it seems there's a bit of well, got a lot of credits lined up if you can handle the job. A little bit controversial. Not sure who else I might have tapped to hire for this, but I figure you guys are probably looking for a good score right about now. It'll be a series of things that I need done. Uh, right now, Captain Volveto's planet is on the verge of becoming recognized as a sovereign nation state. However, in order to get the Pact Worlds to take the legal eagles here in the Pact Worlds to take it seriously, there are a few issues that need to be resolved. Including the data package with the coordinates for the nearest system that's going to have a dense enough drift beacon, near dense enough drift beacons for you to get there with some relative ease. But you'll still have to fly from there. Uh, it'll be a two-part trip. You'll have to fly from there. Um, it seems like the head of security chorus is probably going to be your contact point there. He's a newer. And I've included a information packet on him too. Uh, be looking for. There's a right now. Captain Volvetto took off on some personal issues. There's a lot of political unrest going on there. You got refugees, you got terrorists, you got criminals and pirates, and you got an entire population of Strix. You got colonists. There's not everybody can agree on how this, and there are apparently some other people that were there before. In any case, Chorus will have the details once you're out there. You'll need to. There's a the packet that you've got will include the names and some finer details of some of the major players around the area in the frontier that you're probably going to need. You'll need to know about, and you'll need to be ready to deal with. Uh, Part of dealing with uh, and I think they've got it listed on the planet Xi, as he likes to call it, listed on the official registry as Zyvet. I don't know. Anyway, there's a number of there's another other places like Glumpucket and some of the other and Pluvo and I forget the other ones, but there's that you're gonna need to probably do some business with. But your first point of contact will be uh, will will be Chorus. This is you're signing. He says the just for going out there and talking to him. I've included a good 1,000 credits. Get you guys started. You might want to get whatever gear you're gonna need, whatever materials you're gonna need, buy whatever UPBs you think you might need, and before you head out that way. It's not exactly the most civilized part of the galaxy, if you know what I mean, but there's opportunity out there. This is, and don't let me down. I kind of talked you guys up. I said you guys could do jobs that other people weren't going to be willing to do.
So, this entire time, Allie's been struggling to sit still.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, Allie's just like lying on her back, trying to like maintain focus.
Yeah, well, it was a recorded message. It's not like he was specifically like, yeah, and like there, or he wasn't exactly live. And he's like, yeah, but there is the, but before it flickers out, it says, oh, yeah, one last thing. I'll have a couple of mission specialists that'll be joining your team. Uh, Crenville's going to be heading out in that direction with you. He's got an information packet for him that he'll be that is time coded. He'll open it when you guys get to Pluvo. Well, that'll be your first stop. So, yeah, but he's left he's left the details that like you guys are gonna jump to. Uh, you're gonna be jumping to Pluvo first, and from there you'll be able to jump to Zyvet, as they're calling it on the registries, uh, or Zveto. In in any case, he's got that. But yeah, you've got coordinates. Um,
So how long
you
of
guys,
a jump is this?
uh, it's gonna be a fairly decent sized jump. I think I was putting it at. I'm gonna say, ooh, God, I need to.
Enough days to hopefully recover. Got it.
Oh, You're gonna be in transit for a minute. So I'm
Only
gonna
a
say
minute. Ah.
no. You're gonna be there for a few days.
Yeah.
Damn it! I need to go to yeah. There. Look at the
And did he give us 1,000 credits each, or just 1,000 credits flat?
1,000 flat.
Okay.
So that's not what I'm looking for. I need over here refitting systems upgrading. That is not what I'm looking for. I am not looking for that either. That is navigation in system near space. So you're gonna be going for slash R 3D6. It's gonna take you 12 days in drift to get
Ooh.
there.
All right. Should be plenty of time to hopefully make enough rolls to recover. Or die. You know, that could be a thing too. I could just end up dying.
Is it enough time for you to take 20?
But
I don't know.
you can't take 20 on a fortitude on a saving throw.
Yeah.
There's no way to take 20 on
Now,
saves.
can I take a 20 on the medicine roll? Or no?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Since
That's fine.
I'd be focusing entirely on just getting me and
So,
Shadow better.
first of all, is anybody going to take a look at the data packet? Are any of you going to spend any of this time doing like looking through the data packet with the information that Greenfellow gave you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Allie won't, but I'm sure once like Alistair comes by, probably.
So Shadow, do you look at this first, or do you let somebody else, or are you reviewing it with people at the set with? Is this like a briefing with whoever with senior staff essentially, or is this like I'm going to go over it and then I'll pass the information along? What does this look like?
Essentially with staff, so we can talk it over, figure out what we want to do.
So the major players that you're seeing so far in here are one for like for the for the actual planet Xi or Zyvet or Zveta or whatever that they're calling it, you're seeing that there are on the ground. Chorus is essentially in charge of the is essentially in charge of the lord the wait a minute, is essentially in charge of security there. He doesn't exactly have much of a security team. It looks like he's a former colonist um, of a colony that was wiped out by the that was kind of wiped out by, or not wiped out, but attacked by the Hell Knights, um, and they were forced to sort of like leave where they were at to move on and move on. Um, he seems to have the trust of the people that came from the colony he's from, but outside of that, he seems to be struggling with getting the respect from the outlaws and seems to be having issues with the Strix, who basically just don't want to have much to do with anybody else. They're basically kind of like, nope, we don't want to talk to you guys. We don't want to help you guys out in any way. Um, so they're kind of, they have a completely different uh, outlook there. I'm trying to find my notes. Outside of the, I'll get back to them in a second, but outside of, there is Bettina Klemlin, who works for the Mastodon Mining Company, who was involved, who were the primary contract holders for the Hell Knights when they assaulted all of these systems. So, although it's the intel on her says that that she's basically the governess of her of like the colony, that the mining colony that she's um, present at. Let's see. There is also Arturo Aramal III, who also works for the Mastodon Mining Company. But Arturo Aramal, uh, anybody who's got any ranks in culture in the that's from the Pact Worlds would probably recognize the Aramal name. The Aramals discovered one of the systems out there. In fact, there's a system named for them. Uh, but the Aramal family, they're basically like your very picture of venture capitalists. They're all of them have a history of being more than just CEOs, also being sort of involved in like various sort of adventurous like things, recovering artifacts and you know, et cetera, et cetera. There, and there is a what is it? Goddamn! But there is a number of names of people within the surrounding systems that you would definitely. Uh, there we go. Are these the notes I'm looking for? Are these the notes I'm looking for? Some of them looks like. There we go. Yeah. Aramol. Bettina Klemlin is the governess of a colony named Kroll on the planet of Ludus. There is there is no picture for this one, but there is a name Neverwhere and like a big question mark that apparently runs a lot of the pirates in that area. Chorus is a Nuar, which Nuars are basically like minotaurs. Not quite as big, but they are big enough. Um, let's see.
I remember Bettina and Neverwhere and that whole fiasco.
Yeah, there's also Isig is another Isig, and Ulthar is noted as a side note. Isig, who's a tiefling, he's listed as a important figure in the underworld. Let's see. I'm trying to remember because there was who was the one for Pluvo. I think Pluvo was Tobin Belton was the name of the leader of Pluvo. Um, but yeah, Tobin Belton. The Alat system, the planet of Verno. The colony's name is Pluvo, and Pluvo is where your first like jump is to the planet of Verno, uh, and it's much more modern than the rest of the areas around. It's much more metropolitan. Like a lot of these are very like single purpose, um, you know, sort of like establishments, many of which are like, you know, operations for corporations. The Mastodon Mining Corporation obviously has a very large hold within the system. Um, but there are also, of course, the independents like Neverwhere and her group of pirates, Zyval Veto and his planet. Um, and there are a few, and ISIG represents a, you know, sort of like organization that sits outside of a lot of the established channels as far as legally is concerned. Uh, but you're kind of given this information that this is and there's like a few side notes about like um, the Tabori Union and Tabori United, which strangely are not the same thing. Um, Tabori Union is actually a group of people who declared their independence from the Mastodon Mining Corporation, and the Tabori United is a terrorist organization that took that sort of like banner and went way extreme with it. Um, Rumored to have been led by a former Castrovellian pop star named Ezele Soroval. And there is information that Castrovel did try to reach out to the Tabora Union with one of their negotiators, but their negotiator never came back. Well, with a few negotiators, but none of them ever came back.
Oops.
Yeah. So you kind of get this information. Um, what do you guys what is your like what is your sort of thing here as you go? Like you guys are watching this and seeing
This sounds like a mess and a half.
It looks like a political minefield.
We should go open a boards, booze, and bitches of our own. And just call it a day.
Allie's not even in the room at this point. Allie's like in her own room, basically.
God.
At this point.
Boring. Runs off.
oh yeah. And there's also Governor Virgil Stinson that is listed as being the lead of a gas mining, an independent gas mining operation. Let's
So
see.
where are we supposed to meet up these other people? That's where I'm gonna fly to.
Well, the first the first one that the first thing that you run into is the first place that you're listed to stop at is going to the Alat system by Pluvo, and which is where you'll make the jump from there to the planet Xi, where you're supposed to meet Chorus, who is your contact. Uh, so you've got the first bit. But since we are a few days in travel, go ahead and give me your day one in drift saving throws for Shadow and Oliver, and remember you get the +4 bonus because
Ugh.
well, Oliver, you're back to well. Is that with the +4 added in?
No, that's with
Okay,
just 8.
12. You're back to square one. So that's a failed save, and it does take you. You are now exhausted.
Ah.
Um, and it's Oliver exhausted and Shadow with that +4 that puts you in the clear. So you are no longer infected. Oliver is back to no
Uh,
consecutive saves, and he's at the exhaust at the next
Alright.
track on the disease.
So next roll.
So go ahead.
Yay, it's gonna be 1.
Okay, so Oliver, you're at 1. All right, so go ahead into the next day, and that will put you in the clear.
Woo.
But you're still going to need to take a full day's worth of bed rest to get back to get back to fighting form.
Doctor's orders. He orders it on himself. No
Yeah,
one
you're just
bother
like,
me.
yeah. Yeah, it takes you a bit longer to work this shit out of your system. Like after a couple of days, uh, Shadow shits it out of his system or something. It takes you a few more days to get rid of it. Uh,
Nobody likes pooping an egg.
exactly. Um, but do you have anything particular that you're going to do while? Does anybody else have anything particular they're doing while they're in drift? You
So,
still have.
has anyone noticed my VI adjustments?
Oh, I'm fairly certain anybody who has ordered the VI to do anything or asked the VI to do anything has probably noticed.
I would have, but I was way too sick to care.
And just like, I don't
Every
fucking
time
give
it
a
came in, here's your dinner. Like,
shit.
Do you have to maintain flight during drift, or can you do other stuff?
No, you can do other stuff. You don't have to. Plus, you have the VI. The VI can watch the controls too. Like you don't necessarily have to watch the controls at all times while you're in drift.
Yeah, I
But
don't want Chess sitting there in an adult
since
diaper for 12 days.
since
oh,
we do
Yeah.
have a lot of time, I do have to I guess Alistair is probably gonna reach out to his hacker friend Hayes and delve a little bit more into his memories with the help of Hayes monitoring the system and stuff like that.
Well, in drift travel, you cannot get a hold of anybody that's not in the drift.
Good to
Or
know.
so. Um, but Hayes we've never established where Hayes is, so potentially Hayes could be in one of the systems you're going to. Um, but uh, you do manage to, let's see, you guys do have various things that you can be doing while you're in Drift. I think Crenville, for his part, like before you guys left, he had to go get gear, like, and come back. Yeah. Um, and probably took whatever room you guys gave him to stay in while he's on, because there's only 4 of you and you got 6 rooms, whatnot.
Yeah.
But he's pretty much kind of he'll talk and he's affable enough if you guys decide to speak to him. But he's really kind of like uh, he didn't necessarily go too far out of his way. I mean, um, he realizes this is you guys' ship, and he hasn't his stuff is sealed at the moment. He's supposed to get further instructions when he gets into when he gets to the when you guys get to the allot system. So he's going to do that. He's just kind of waiting.
Joe's gonna record an episode of his podcast to be
Oh, yeah.
broadcast when they get out of Drift. It's gonna be about a raging river, of course.
He's just like he's fucking nice, awesome. All right. Well, when you get back, or when you do come out of Drift in the allot system, you see the planet Verno, and you start getting like the sort of like sort of info traffic as you get close to the planet from the planet's infosphere, such as it is. It doesn't have it's not a big massive infosphere like you're used to in the packed worlds, but it's all right. I mean, it's got a decent enough amount of information. And Crenville, probably when you guys come out, it makes it a point to be on the bridge when you guys come out of Drift, and he's like, ah, and he's like, and he goes, Verno. Hey, Pluvo is the only civilized protocol around here that I would call civilized. This is where, if I'm not mistaken, and this you guys would remember this from your data files. This is where Isig, the tiefling of the underworld, persuasion, like operates out of. And, like he operates in Pluvo. He goes, this. He goes, he goes, says, if I were you, I'd make a stop here before heading off anywhere else. It's likely the last place you're going to be able to see any kind of civilized entertainment.
Oh, as long as there's fresh air. I've been cooped up for way too long.
It sounds like a good idea.
All right. Yeah.
We're going to a strip club. Wait.
So you managed to land in Pluvo. There is when you get down on the ground and whatnot, they do like customs tells you that they have a strict no weapons policy. They tell you to check your weapons, to leave your weapons on the ship. Like due to political tensions and the due to political tensions between the corporations and some of the other dignitaries that sort of bang around these parts. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to ask you to leave your weapons on board. There's a there have been terrorist attacks, among other violent aspects. You can't
Well,
be too careful.
that is terrible. We will leave our weapons.
Like he is, he's like, right, like they, and there's a checkpoint to go through and whatnot. But yeah, if any of you decide to try to carry a weapon anyway, I will need a sleight of hand check unless you have like a hideaway compartment or something in your cybernetics.
My fur is a hideaway compartment.
Yeah, doesn't work like
No,
that.
I'm not gonna bring a weapon. I've got my own weapon. My
I was gonna say,
mind.
well, you also have those claws too.
Claws. Yeah.
You also have those
We're
big
we're we're, we're gonna have to disable that mind. It's too dangerous, Ollie. I'm sorry.
I was gonna
Make
say,
me wear
hopefully they
something
don't make him cut his hands off or something.
I have a right to bear arms.
oh God, that's terrible. Um, and Chess, you just make your weapon out of fucking your solar mote. So, but they do sort of like register as you come through and whatnot. Are you guys using like your actual identities, or are you going to try to use some forged identities?
I don't think any
I
of
am
us.
who I am.
Shadow will use his actual identity.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. So,
We'll use a identity.
if you're using a if you're using any kind of like forged credentials, I need a computers check from somebody who forged those credentials to see what the DC is to see if they notice that they're forged or not.
Okay, let's do it. I mean, I'm Alistair. He's the hacker. Let's do it.
All right.
God.
All right.
Damn.
Yeah. You and put down in your gear somewhere that you have forged credentials with a DC of 30 to beat. 'Cause
that is some redundancy there. He's got like backup papers for some documentation, a backup of documentation.
yeah, you've got forged credentials of with a DC of 30 to recognize as forged. Um,
So
the
I put that in inventory, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you get on planet and you notice that it's fairly diverse. You know, there's even a few species here you've not met that none of you have actually met or seen before. Um, including what look like including what look like jellyfish. Um, they're you heard said and there's a few other creatures here. There's that you had not seen before. There's God damn it. There's a couple of insectoid creatures you've never run into. There's something that looks a little like a monkey. It looks like it was based off of a primate at one point, but it's got 4 legs, um, and 2 arms.
Oliver, can you identify some of these new species that I've never seen before?
I might just be able to. No. Yeah, can I, is it life science?
Yeah, and it counts as a 20 anyway. So what
Oh,
would
yeah.
it be with it counts like just like you rolled a 20, so it's almost like taking 20. So what would that be for you?
A total of, I think that's, let me double check. Yeah, I think that's 34.
Yeah. So the jellyfish-like creature, they're a scyphazone. Their technology tends to be more bio based, from what you understand. You've never actually seen one of them before. They're still fairly new to the sort of galaxy at large. You see, the ooze-like creature is a celamid. They are also still fairly new to, and simian creature with 4 legs and 2 arms is called a sepravoi. From what you understand, they're really kind of not really well. They don't go out a whole lot in the sense that their whole planet is biologically unsound for their people. They live in a space station above their planet and can't go back to their planet because something they did left biological agents that kill them when they go there. So you've heard a little bit about the just sort of creatures you've heard a little bit about. Um, but there's like also like there's also a Bernari that's kind of wandering around, talking to, and of course your more standard fare, your Borai, your Yusakai, your Lashunta, Kasathan, some Vesk, etc., etc. That are kind of like moving about, and a very large contingent of humans, half elves, some dwarves, and whatnot. Um, but from what you can gather, there's quite a bit of activity going on here. Um, I just kind of got a weird energy to it, and it is nothing like the sort of like metropolitan areas that you. It's nothing. It's far and away from being anything like Kabarat. And if this is the closest you're going to get to a place like Kabarat or Absalom Station in this backwater part of the galaxy, uh, you're you have an idea that the rest is going to be significantly less civilized than what you're used to dealing with.
We were just in a forest of fucking death.
And before
Yeah,
that, Akaton.
but those were both planets that have cities on them with nations, well, or at least
True.
nation states. The this this is a planet that has one that has essentially one city on it. There might be some small town areas around outside of that you don't really know much about yet. But really, if this is the center of the center of culture around here, you can gather that the rest of these places are going to be like, there's just going to be not a lot to them. You're not going to be finding a lot of like shops or entertainment districts or a lot of like places that you would normally find in a bigger, in a bigger city or what have you. You ain't gonna, you're fairly certain you're not gonna find any nightclubs on many of these planets because you can barely find two on this one. So, um, but would you like to, what would you like to do while you're here? Are you gonna kind of try to take in some sights? Are you gonna try to get a feel for, gather some information? Are you gonna do a bit of? Are you gonna try to do some shopping? Do you have
Hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, try and get some information about what's going on.
all right. So let's get some
I'd like to
diplomacy.
accompany. I'd like to accompany if I can.
Okay,
Cool.
you're gonna accompany. Let me get a culture or diplomacy check.
Would I be able
What
to help?
first?
No.
If you do you have any ranks in culture?
I believe I do. Let me see here. Yeah, I have two.
Okay, yeah. You can. Let's see. Chess with a 16 in diplomacy, and checks. Ooh, okay. So you're able to help Shadow and get Shadow's check there. Because you're going to effectively get, what, a +10 here? Or +10, +3 because you get 2 for Al and 1 for your spell. Alright. Shadow, you are able to gather a great deal of information here. Kind of talking like maybe you find a local bar or whatnot, a local watering hole, and just kind of talking and to some of the locals and whatnot. Um, you find out that Pluvo is tense because they're effectively neutral with all the power struggles going on around here. Um, Veto shook things up by taking a planet, um, but Mastodon Mining Corporation still owns a lot of political currency around here. They have a lot of influence. Um, there is there is Tabor United, as far as you can tell, they've become splintered. There's a few there's a few cells here and there that are still active and very, very violent, but uh, from what you can understand, their leader, their uh, their hero, their effective leader, sort of abandoned them. Um, so there are a lot of them that went kind of like off script. There's a lot of rumors that go back and forth about someone that is considered a hero around here named Rex Tolak, a hero like who, as just he's popped up in so many places that it's near impossible for it all to be true. Um, there are whisperings of there's whisperings that there is a that there that that there are clones that have been replacing people, um, that but nobody knows who, why, or where. So there's a certain amount of paranoia going on. Um, you're surprised that you're able to get this kind of information actually, especially this quickly. And you're probably at the bulk face bar, which is Isig's hideout. In fact, um, you know, you're asking a lot of questions and you're getting a bit of information here and there and whatnot. Um, and you're finding out more and more that Mastodon mining is, they own a lot of political currency, but there are a lot of people who don't like them around here. And there is a Dr. Tallet who also seems to have his fingers in a lot of pies, although nobody can quite prove that he's doing anything particularly nefarious. Arturo Aramal actually tends to feel like he's the one person in the Mastodon Mining Corporation's umbrella that people don't seem to take exception to. He's rather well liked for the most part. Bettina Clemlin has a reputation for being fairly ruthless, um, uh, but also very savvy. And Neverwhere, everybody's just more than a little off balanced as to Neverwhere. Nobody knows who Neverwhere is. Nobody knows what Neverwhere is. All they know is that this person runs is responsible for any organization, if such could be said, for all of the pirates in the surrounding systems. Um, the Hell Knights still hold a presence in most of the Mastodon mining territory, but they've drawn back on offense for some reason of late. Although there are fears that they could launch new offensives and start taking more territory um, any day. Uh, and sort of the consensus is if they do that, that there's not really a lot of organized resistance that's going to be able to that's going to be able to stand up to them, especially with Captain Volvetto and his crew having left on personal issues.
All right, I relay that to the team via comms. Oh, it sounds like a wonderful place around here. Uh,
Truly.
I mean, maybe I'll write something about this and make a show later, but some of it sounds like science fiction. I mean, clones? Really?
That's not too far fetched.
You don't know half of it. Oh, there's a lot of shit out on the internet. Some of it's true.
Why clones? That's weird.
Well, yeah, and there's the cult of the devourer still runs around here. There's a particularly vicious group called the Blood Accretion that have beefed with Volvetto and company, uh, that are also known to ravage colonies and what have you. So,
And this little rock is neutral among all this stuff, so we know where to run if we get in a little hot water.
well, there's a lot of people who are afraid that that neutrality won't last if anybody decides to come calling, because they don't exactly have a large navy to defend themselves if somebody with a real military force comes. Uh, but Tobin Bilton, he's well liked by his people for the most part. Some of them don't like the fact that he negotiates with Mastodon as often as he does.
Whew.
But yeah, and I think maybe as you're asking questions and whatnot, there's a moment where, like, you're kind of um, you just finished talking you just finished talking to a group of guys and you're getting ready to leave, and you suddenly find a large bear in front of you, and it's not Oliver. Yeah,
Well, hello.
and you hear in your head, because that's how uplifted bears talk. Um, like, right then, right then, you've been asking a lot of questions here lately. Yes, the boss would like to speak to you.
Could I bring one one friend with me? Hmm?
He looks, yeah, he looks over at Chess and he's like, and he goes, obviously, you were both asking questions. The boss would like to know who you are. He says, if you'll follow me, and he looks over towards a set of stairs. And he goes, and he kind of nods over in the direction. You see, there were a couple of guys that you didn't necessarily realize before, but just seeing him look over at him, you're like, oh, those guys are probably undercover security. There's probably a few of them around here.
Busted.
And he's like, but he kind of leads you up, and he's wearing this bear is wearing a very nice suit. He's he's wearing a very nice suit. It's about 2 years out of date for uh, current fashion in the packed worlds, but it's still nice.
Gotcha.
He's like, you get but he leads you upstairs. There's a you know, there's a door, a hallway, and like at the end of it, there's, you know, like a couple of guys standing guard, and They, as soon as they see the bear, he looks at it and goes, he's like, roll in, roll through there. He goes, he says, he says, you just got yourself an appointment. He says, he says, and he's like, a boss doesn't like to be kept waiting. And he kind of steps out of your way, motions for you to enter.
He enters.
You walk in, and a you see a tiefling, uh, and you know he's got long hair, um, clean shaven, and he's kind of dressed rather flamboyantly, favoring favoring blacks and deep reds, and what have you, with some gold trim here and there. He's like, ah, come in, come in. Says, welcome, gentlemen. My name is Isig.
Hello, I am Shadow Runrail de. Damn it, I forgot to. That's a damn long name. Shadow Runrail de Seda. And I am intrigued about this area. It is wonderful. I do a podcast, um, just short form stories usually. And I am captain of a ship, the Menagerie. We have flown here, and we are looking around, and I'm hearing very crazy things. You know, the kind of things that great stories are made of.
He looks over at Shess and he goes, and you are?
I'm the cat's entourage. I just kind of follow him around and gather information with him and document it for him so he has it for later.
I gathered that you perform some function for him if as he's the captain. I was asking your name.
Oh, chess.
And he goes, ah, Shadow and Chess. And he says, have a seat. And there's a couple of seats, and they're very nice. They're made with some kind of, they're made with they're made of some kind of like exotic material. You're assuming some sort of animal you've not quite seen before. He was like, I make it a point to know everyone and anyone that intends to be a bit of a player around here. Says you would do well to remember that and to remember me. After all, I am well connected. Says people don't necessarily come out here unless they have some form of specific business, Captain Shadow. So, do you work for the corporations? If so, which one? Or do you work within the underworld? If so, who do you know?
I do not work for corporations, no. And the underworld, I am not associated with anyone in the underworld yet. Um, where do you fall on that spectrum?
Um, I am a businessman. Well, of a fairly disreputable repute. Law enforcement knows who I am and what I represent, but they stay well clear of me as long as my business interests don't cause any problems here on Pluvo, which I am well circumspect to make sure that is the case. So if you're not working for a corporation, you're not connected in the underworld. Do you work for any? Do you work for the Tabora United?
No, I do not. I heard about them. Something about a lack of leadership?
Yes, yes. I met their former leader. Quite an interesting fellow. Not exactly what one expects. Well, at first perhaps, but later on is rather weird. What kind of business are you intending to engage in out here? Being
I'm
you're not
gathering
affiliated.
I'm gathering information for stories. If you, he gives them webpage address. You will see the list of the stories I've done already. Um, Podcasts are wonderful. You can enjoy them anytime. You can enjoy them while you're getting ready to go to sleep. It's so compact and easy to use because it's all oral, all my voice. I mean, I do have a nice voice, don't I?
Well, since you seem to be less than forthcoming about your business here, let me be frank and be clear. If you intend to do any business, you do well to come through me. I take a modest finder's fee for helping find opportunities for folks who have a ship and some weapons. I also help keep a little bit of cover. I can introduce you to people that might be of use. However, if you are working with law enforcement, I'd fair warn you that the steward's reach doesn't count for much out here. You will find very little support. If you're working, says, and I don't think the Hell Knights particularly like the Pack Worlds parking their nose around out here. I can help you circumvent a few issues here and there. If you happen to decide to operate outside of an arrangement with myself, it could be very problematic. Difficult in, well, logistically, you wouldn't have my support, and uh, more realistically, I don't take kindly to those who shoehorn in on my action.
Meep.
Of course, I understand.
This is says stories are one thing, and we get our fair share of hollow novelists and movie writers out here, hollow vidists, hollow movie writers, a few actors that can make their way out here. Well, fair warn you though, this is rough trade out here. If you're not prepared for a bit of violence, then the violence will be more than prepared for you.
I understand. It's tough competition out here. Hmm?
Indeed. And since we understand each other so well now, how about we exchange some information? That way, if I come across some opportunities, perhaps I could send them your way. If you come across some information that might be helpful to myself or my associates, perhaps you send it our way as well. Job too big for you to handle? Perhaps I can find someone who can.
That sounds like a very good trade.
Says, says, what can I do to help you immediately? And where are you headed? Pluvo is a hub, but not always a destination in and of itself.
Well, we've been hearing that there might be some opportunities around. I can't remember. Is it Planet Side that we're going to, or was it
Yeah,
one of the?
yeah, planet. It was Planet Xi,
Uh,
essentially.
there might be some opportunities around Planet Xi, especially since they're saying they're trying to get legitimate acknowledgement, and Well, the first things that happen, you know, the first planet outside of the Packed Worlds to be picked up, and then the first Vesk planet that got to be visited by people. The first are a big story, and getting in on that story would be beautiful, especially if I get to ride on the coattails of all the fame Captain Volvetto apparently has.
He chuckles for a minute and he goes, "You know, I've met him. Interesting fellow. Very sharp about his business. Makes decent weapons." He says, "When you're out there, you may," he says, "I may have some leads for you. There is a let's see, God damn it. Now that I've shut now that I close that, now that I set that down and
Oh,
moved it when
okay.
I need it. He says there are some smuggling operations that are going on out there. Now, normally I wouldn't be a normally this is the sort of thing I'm not terribly worried about, sort of up my alley. However, I would say that these are going on a bit under the radar, too far under the radar, at least under the wrong radar, as it were. Says there's a half orc, or is he a full orc? I can't remember which. His name is Oxgat. Uh, Oxgat seems to be having himself a little bit of a heyday. I believe Chorus has been trying to track him down for months. You see, there was a space station the Hell Knights had there. It was blown up in the decisive battle where they took control of the planet. Ostensibly, the wreckage has been claimed by the inhabitants of the New World, and I would imagine that that is essentially the to be expected. But Oxgat is taking some of the salvage and he's moving it through the markets. He said, not the markets on planet Psi, but markets elsewhere. I believe he's been running some of these back. He's been running some of these back to the Hell Knights, if I'm not mistaken, or Mastodon. One of the two. We haven't tracked it down exactly yet, but I can tell you that I'll look into it a little bit here and there. But you're going to owe me something. He says, he says, if you make your way to, when you make your way to the planet Xi, and tell Chorus that I said hello. I'm sure it'll put a smile on his face. And he says, remember, Oxgat is the name you're looking for. I don't know what ship he's running his salvage through, and I don't know the names of any of his crew members. You might ask around more.
Well, if the people around him are as friendly as your people, I might get a very good amount of information.
He says, he says, let's hope so. I would hate to see the resources and materials that have been intended for my friend's project to wind up in the hands of his enemies. After all, it did cost him a pretty heavy price that in that fight. he and he kind of looks around. He says he says Arthur will take your information. Will exchange the information with you. Your comms for ours, so that you can get in touch whenever you so please or need, and I can do the same. Says your he says, with that said, I'll leave you to your business as I have a great deal of my own to tend to as well.
Thank you very much for the assistance, and I will look into finding Chorus as soon as possible.
He says, he says, see that you do. And he kind of nods. He says, he presses a button and the door opens and you see Ulthar standing outside of it. Roll it this way.
Time to play Follow the Bear.
Yep.
Again.
He's and he kind of leads you back downstairs and like exchanges the information with you. He's like, he's like, there's a bulk face. He's like, there should be a bulk face bar in a few of the other locations around the systems. Usually that's where the boss runs his businesses, although there are a few odd warehouses in here and there. He goes, this is, he goes, and he goes, I'll be keeping an eye on you. And he's just like, the boss doesn't like disappointment.
I'm sure he does not.
And he turns and goes back about his business. Goes over. He kind of goes over to talk to some of the security people. In the meantime, while this is going on, what are Al and Oliver doing?
So I was just picturing like basically Alistair trying to explain that like a bear took those two off. But I feel like it got kind of confused because Oliver's a bear. Like that's the way I feel. I'm picturing a conversation. Just try. No, there's another bear, guys.
Were you guys at the bulk face bar with them when they
Well, I
did
was
them?
helping with it.
Is that
I
what you
made
were?
a culture
Oh, okay,
roll,
that's right.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was probably
All
outside somewhere. So he came
you,
running out.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Oliver, I
Yes.
could have sworn I just saw you leave with the other guys, but you're out here.
That is correct. You're very perceptive. Have you been drinking in there?
No, I swear, there's another bear or something that looks like the shape of a bear. It was really dark and it's just lights. Anyway, but yeah, could have sworn was a bear. Another bear like you,
Well,
upright and
not
everything.
the only
Uh,
bear in this universe.
yeah, it's it's an uncommon occurrence. You'd have to say.
So, do we all look alike to you?
I mean, I've only seen you.
Remind me to educate you a little more when we return to the ship.
That's specious.
He's just like, these are bears. This is a different type of bear, and this is a different type of bear. And then it becomes then you have to explain then you're gonna have to explain to Al why it is that you actually can telepathically communicate with people because it says nothing about bears that telepathically communicate with people. um,
Point, I'm just in my console, like just
yeah.
playing around with computer stuff at that point.
Probably. Well,
All right.
if they were lured away by another person, they're probably getting the information that we're searching for.
It's possible, or we got roped into something else.
That is
Uh,
likely.
all right.
Ollie, Oliver, I'm sorry, I keep Ollie's in my head. Okay, give me a break. But needless to say, what brings you on the Menagerie? Why did you need a ship to in the first place?
To further my studies and get off that dreadful planet. Primarily the second one.
Surely you're not just I mean, what exactly do your studies center around? Is there like something in particular that you're studying that you want that requires you to travel?
What was my thingy? I can't remember. My trying to remember what my biohacker thing was I picked. Oh, neurochemistry. I'm studying the effects of chemicals on creatures' brains and nerves. If only you had some, I could try out a few more things.
Oh,
No,
damn. Harsh.
that's okay. I think I mean I think I'm fine. However, I'm sure you got plenty of that on the planet, right?
I had some, yes.
All right.
But now we're in a less reputable area where I might acquire some more chemicals.
I see. Well, yeah, no, if you, I mean, if I see anything unusual, I'll, I'll let you know.
Wonderful. It goes back to breathing in the outside air and just laying down, relaxing. It's a little murky, but it's better than being in a ship for 12 days after being like massively sick. So it's like, he might
Oh,
go shopping. I might look for some.
Oliver, if anyone asks here, refer to me as Ty or Tiresias. I just I'd rather keep it on the down low that I'm here.
Did you say refer to you as tiring? There's some sort of like bear like smile, like you see the lips kind of curl up, but he's a bear. He's not good at this. He's like,
I roll my eyes.
of course, Ty.
I love it. Oliver is just kind of being low key. He's kind of being low key sassy with
Well, I
fucking
imagine
Sam.
he's been stuck on a ship while sick with an AI or not AI, VI that's constantly changing its voice because of this person, and this person was Allie for the longest time. So it's pent up frustration.
I love it. That's legit. I am frustrated with you.
I,
Ah! Mm.
I'm getting the sense that you're. I'm getting the sense that this isn't about me.
I'm getting the sense that this is not me. It's not me, it's you.
Sometimes I wonder.
That's great. Uh, awesome.
What?
Right. And I think we are at 1:30, so we've gotten a good 2 hours in here. And this has kind of gotten you guys where in the area that I need you guys to be in. So I think we'll go ahead and start doing sign-offs and send me your Player's Choice Awards, and I'm going to assign some experience points and everything. Um, So, who wants to start us off here?
I'm good if you want.
All right, go for it.
All right. Listen here, I'm only going to say this once. You have been watching the Menagerie slowly descend into darkness. If you want to watch more of us, check in next week on Sunday. You can catch me. I know I wasn't in this one, but Big Al will make a big comeback next week. Um, that being said, you can catch me also at Rogue Gray Fox, twitch.tv/Rogue Gray Fox. And you can also catch me on Twitter at JJW Voice. Alrighty. That'll be it for me.
Awesome. All right, then who's next?
I can do it.
Alrighty.
Greetings. I am Oliver Byrne. Also Sassing Nasty 69. Yeah. I just love this image of him just being so fed up with Ali. He's just non-stop sarcastic remarks. Yeah, it was exciting. I thought we were gonna have to keep trying to fight those things, and I was like, oh god, we're gonna die today. This is it. This is how I die. And we got rescued by Al, of course. I have to like him in some aspects.
Complicated figure.
We got to our upgraded ship, and we got that VI that's also a bartender / cook. I love it. We'll get a bar soon. Beyond that, you can catch me not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday for Don't Seattle for Anything Less, a Shadowrun campaign where I will be playing Zephyr, the shaman who primarily summons air spirits. Surprise! It's great. I'm excited to start and see how that's going to go. On Wednesdays, you can catch me from Hinch to Minch as Kin, aka Crash Butler, the super fast, super strong, super tough man who can only run in a straight line and has a no longer robotic girlfriend. She's got a body. And then on Saturdays, for whatever Just the Grab Bags are run, I'll be around for some of them with its Legion Championship Wrestling as Bear the Boulder Breaker, a human who calls himself Bear, while I play a bear who calls himself a human name. This is awkward, because also from Faulty Comics Presents, where I play Kingfisher, the exact opposite of Crash. I'm playing polar opposite characters, and none of them are Polar Bear.
Why not?
I know, I should have made him a polar bear. I realize this now.
Oh, he'd have been dying in Castroville.
Yeah. And then on Sundays midday, you can catch me for Tales from the Cosmos as Lena Greenhand, a little old lady halfling druid who's a lot more fearsome than she lets on, but only in battle because she's from a swamp, so she's got that little bit of crazy in her. But she makes a bomb ass tea for anyone who's thirsty, so it's good. And yeah, that's everything.
Right on. Mm, uh, JJ, I need your vote for player's choice and who's going next.
I'll go next.
I did send it. It should
Did
be
you?
in the.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
I'm the Computer King, the supervillain of streaming, and I was playing Shadow, who can be very friendly and get lots of information out of people, and then get noticed and have to give away very little and seem like he's giving away a whole lot. Nothing like telling somebody things that they already know in order to placate them. Uh, also on Sundays, I'm in Tales from the Cosmos. Now playing Corin Deadblade, the wizard who walks like a human, walks like a fighter, and apparently got drafted into being quartermaster. He was trying to avoid getting nailed down to a job, but too bad. On Tuesdays, when it starts, I'll be in Seattle. Like, don't Seattle for anything less. as Sugar Skull, the face of the group, who also dabbles in data manipulation. And on Wednesdays, I run from hench to mensch, getting a few supervillains um, off the lower tiers and hopefully up into the higher echelons of evil. That's all, folks.
Awesome. Next.
That'd be me. Psych, Scott, whatever. I don't know. I play chess, so she flies the plane or the ship or whatever. That's it. But at least we got saved from being like more people put eggs in them, and then people survive from the eggs. Yep, whatever. Okay, so I don't know. So tomorrow I'm gonna be on the fire strike as Xander, which tomorrow I probably won't come out of my room ever as I figure out how to translate one language to another language to understand the script. Yay. Then on Wednesday in Hinch to Minch, I'll play Night, which my brain cannot remember anything, but hey, I go shopping. I do random things. Oh, we had to hide somebody. Yeah, that was fun. Then when we do Flesh and Fire, I'm currently the unconscious mechanic Jake, because I decided to not drive anymore. When we do Legion Class Wrestling, I'm going to play Adam Mason. He's a manager of Bear the Boulder Breaker. And my plan is to get Bear title matches. And then in Faulty Comics, I'm playing this guy named John Smith, who got to punch zombies in the face.
Yeah. Indeed.
But I think that's everything. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I guess that brings it back around to me then. So, in keeping with the way I normally do this, we'll take care of the bookkeeping first. Everybody gets 300 XP for tonight. And for Player's Choice Award, Al wins Player's Choice today. Give yourself an extra 100 experience points on top of. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be doing Ballad of the Menagerie and a few of the other shows at a later time because we had a minor crisis this week as my schedule changed and I am back on second shift where I used to be before I changed everything around. And now I'm back to second shift. So, Ballad of the Menagerie and Just as Grab Bag will both be start times of around 11:30 going forward. 11:30 p.m. Central Time, for those of you who may not be in the Central Time Zone. To be clear, with that said, there are still some things that are in my mind, new projects that I might be working on down the road, and some things that I still intend to do just as Grab Bag and Ballad of the Menagerie. They're just going to be a little later than they were. So you will be able to see me here on Saturday nights for the Justice Grab Bag, where we do a number of different things. Among them, Flesh and Fire, our Apocalypse World campaign, Legion Championship Wrestling using the Worldwide Wrestling System, which, if you have not played this game and you have not checked it out, when we do it, it is a great deal of fun. We pay homage to, make fun of, and laugh at, and have a generally way better time than we deserve to have with this system, playing around with the idea of professional wrestlers. We also have Faulty Comics Presents, which is where we do superheroes. We take the old second edition Mayfair DC hero system. We throw away all the DC heroes and we just put our own comics universe in while we just use the actual mechanics for it. There are also other things we float around. We were actually playing around with, and I think next week we're going to get back to playing around with playtesting the Nanosite character class. Starfinder is playtesting right now. Um, Monday nights, you can catch me here for our flagship show, my favorite group of space terrorists and space pirates and never do wells in the Fire Strike. You can also catch me here probably on Tuesdays. I'm probably going to be in, Never Seattle for Less. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, never Seattle
Don't see
for
it.
anything
Yeah,
less. Or, no, I think it's
it,
for less.
yeah. Um, and I will probably be playing a combat caster of some sort. I have not made that character yet. I need to get on that. I will be doing that. Um, I will be involved in that one as well. So if you want to see me get all, dystopian cyberpunk out with it, then that's the place to see me do it because I will be. Um, with that said, I think that's all we got for tonight. So let's uh, let's say goodbye and get out of here. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.